The Invisible Man is a new movie. When I saw this trailer, I was feeling very iffy about it because just watching the trailer itself, it just kind of seemed like, meh, you know, it looks okay. The trailer, when you watch it, it kind of seems like it's going to be a ghost movie, and then it turns that on its head. A new update, a woman escapes from her abuser. He dies, but apparently he faked his own death and wore an invisible suit to haunt her. So I thought that was a pretty interesting concept, but what really sold me was finding out that this movie is written and directed by Leigh Whannell. He is one of the co-writers of Saw and Insidious, and he's become his own man of sorts. He usually seemed to be like the producer of a Saw movie or Insidious sequel. He always had his fingers and stuff, but lately he's been getting onto his own stuff, evolving from horror to science fiction with Upgrade, a fantastic film from 2019. Same goes for James Wan. You know, he started with horror, kind of stuck around, did a little bit of action with Death Sentence, and then did full-on action with the Fast and Furious 7, I think, and Aquaman. So it's cool to see these two directors finally go from what they're known for, branching out into different genres. And this movie is a fantastic, amazing film by Leigh Whannell. This movie, at its core, is a story about a woman dealing with being a victim of abuse, and it also has the sort of glossy sort of, you know, trappings of a psychological thriller. What I really liked about this movie is that it doesn't become overblown. It's not overly violent. It doesn't become a slasher. This movie is a thriller, and it has a really focus on the characters and building tension. You know, a leaky faucet, a generator, random noises happening could turn out to be something completely different. And you know, we'll have the camera pointed at like a chair or something, and you're not really sure if he's there or not. And the movie does a wonderful job with the tension and suspense. There's a scene in the movie where literally my balls like retracted into my body because I was that scared. It was just like Hitchcock would have a field day with this movie. He'd be like, "That was a good show." This movie is basically a bare bones return to classic filmmaking. The movie only has a $7 million budget. It stars you know, not a relatively famous actor-filled cast. Elizabeth Moss, I actually have not seen her in a lot of stuff. I tried to watch Handmaid's Tale, thought it was boring. I haven't seen her in Mad Men. I've seen her other smaller movies such as Us or The One I Love. And this movie is a perfect example of an actor or actress's dream role. It's a main character role where you get to emote, stretch your acting chops. The movie gives her enough time to breathe between all of the tense, suspenseful set pieces, but the movie's pretty much carried by her performance. And it's a wonderful, great role for her. And especially the side characters all get a little bit to do as well. You know, the main antagonist, the Invisible Man, you don't really get to see him in the flesh very often, actually. So it's kind of like even more surprising at the end when you finally get to see him. And the movie does have this nice, sinister atmosphere of dread. And I love the metaphor of, you know, people not believing her, you know. Every time she says there's something following me or she feels his presence, they just chalk it up to her PTSD or, you know, the psychological abuse that's been, you know, they don't believe her really. They want to, I mean, but the abuser also does the classic sort of cut off her support system. You don't have to be a victim of abuse to empathize with her plight, and that really, you know, elevates the movie from just another psychological thriller to a timely one, and I really like that. The only one problem I have with the movie does get a little bit convoluted near the end, which is not a big deal, but overall, though, this movie basically focuses on camera work, acting, and story, and the characters. I loved it. It was absolutely fantastic from beginning to end. So I give The Invisible Man an 8.5 out of 10.